Sticking on the topic of Linkin Park, I thought this was an interesting kind of talking point. I've done a bit of reaching out to get a few comments on this. Is for everyone who knows, Chester, the lead singer of Linkin Park, sadly took his own life back in 2017, and the band has kind of been in this strange kind of state of limbo ever since, where they've not outright said that they're done and it's over and that's it. The band's finished. They haven't really done much. Well, they haven't really done anything since new music wise, since Chester's passing, besides a one-off gig, a tribute gig for him. Throughout the years, there has been like these murmurings and these rumours and these whispers from the Linkin Park camp that they have been toying with the idea and they do want to continue the band in some capacity. So yeah, I think this is quite a hot button issue, really, because on one hand, that's not completely unheard of before. Band members have lost lead singers and recruited new lead singers, and have even got to the point where their lead singer is more well known. It's basically more well known than their previous singer. You know, I think the one example that comes to the top of my head is AC/DC when Bon Scott died and Brian Johnson took over. I think the difference with that is that the band hadn't been going for nearly as long as Linkin Park had been going by the time they lost Chester. I think Linkin Park are in that kind of area, in that bracket now where you would call me a legacy band. Chester was such an iconic frontman and vocalist. It was such amazing vocal power and such a unique voice. If you were to replace that, I think a lot of people would always make the comparison to whoever took his place, would always be compared to him. I think if they'd made new music, personally, can't imagine it being amazing, to be honest with you. I do have to just be honest there. I think purely because, and as I say, I think we will get into this in another episode on another time, but I do think their discography and the kind of quality and releases did start to dip towards the back end of their back catalogue. So I went onto Reddit to get some opinions from fans on the Linkin Park subreddit. So I'm going to read some out here and just basically kind of respond to them. AT88 says, I would like them to continue as long as they felt genuinely ready to do it. There's nothing worse than a half-hearted comebacks. But if they've got the passion for continuing with Linkin Park, even if it's just some live shows with a guest singer, then it would be great. I don't really get why people wouldn't want them to continue in this scenario. Nothing will change Chester's legacy and what the band achieved with him, and that the other members are just as much as Linkin Park as he is. With the history of Linkin Park, I'm not completely clued up on it, but I don't even think Chester was there right from the start. I think they were together, most of the members, under a different name until Chester joined. It's always this kind of thing, like what is the band, and most of the time when you look at a band, it's always the front man that stands out, and the other members do kind of get sidelined a bit, which is always a bit sad. But I think there was a bit of a different case for Linkin Park because there was this shared vocal role between the two singers, between Chester and Mike. Chester did the melodies and the lead vocal part, and Mike would rap basically and do a bit of singing as well. And I think that really kind of worked and was like really what kind of got them recognised for the band that they became. However, it's such a kind of, it is such, like, with Chester, he's so iconic. You just couldn't imagine that band under anyone else as frontman, or to go completely without him. So it's, I haven't really got a clear answer on that myself. It is hard to kind of, it's just hard to say, basically. It is, it is a difficult one. Unfortunately, I've cropped out the name of this Redditor's comment, so I'm really sorry about that. So he said, yeah, I want them to continue. I think it would be a waste of everyone, especially Mike's talent, if they wouldn't. They deserve this, and I'm looking forward to see what they can offer. How do I want them to go about it? First and foremost, with respect to Chester's legacy, find a new singer. The new person doesn't have to sing exactly like Chester, but must be able to do those songs justice. and to be a good fit for the band. Acknowledge that they're not replacing Chester, but instead they intend to carry on Chester's flag onwards. The new member is here to help, and Chester will never be forgotten. The band would naturally lean on Mike as the presumable leader, even more so than when Chester was alive. Release an EP or a brand new record, pour their heart into a strong statement. Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there with kind of like whoever comes in now is not the replacement, but there to continue the band's legacy. But I think personally what I'd be happier with is kind of like a situation that Queen kind of did. So, they didn't really do much after Freddie Mercury passed. They toured and they recruited new frontmen. I know the Doors have done that as well and stuff like that. So that's not a terrible idea, really. It is all just kind of down to like respect how tasteful it can kind of be done. Stomach Super 2326 says, I personally would not want them to continue with another singer. I have no problem following them on their own different bands, perhaps. If not all of them would want to join. I think it would be a nice tribute to Chester to leave Linkin Park as it is. In my mind, it would be. What would be the purpose? New music can be done anyway. It does not have to be the new revival of Linkin Park. But of course, if the fans would want this, I guess that could be a reason. Really curious to read the responses and listen to the podcast. Thank you. I think I do way more on that side, really, of let this band be retired, close the book on this band. The problem is like egos get involved and stuff like that, or the band members. It's always one of them. It's like when you leave a band and start anew, you'll get some people from Linkin Park fandom coming over to join in, but I don't think you basically have to start from scratch and build that general audience up again with Linkin Park and that legacy behind them. They could do a good job if pretty much all the band members carried on under a different name, but I think it would take some rebuilding, and I think that's probably why they aren't really doing that or haven't done that yet. GC137 says, Ollie Sykes of Bring Me the Horizon worked a while back. You need a dude that can sound like a demon and an angel at the same time. Now, I've got to be honest with you, I don't like Ollie Sykes. I don't think he would be a bad choice, though, to be fair. I don't think he would. I think he has definitely been heavily influenced by Chester's vocal style. I definitely think he could pull off performing the Linkin Park songs. But it just goes back to that. It's like, I think the reading a couple of these responses, I do think in a way that it would be great to just close the book on this chapter and just leave it as it is. Did say before, I'm not a bigger fan of their later albums, but I still think they've got a solid enough back catalogue that you can kind of look back on, and that's a respectable history of work. And it's kind of like, do you want to ruin that? Do you want to muddy that legacy? Is it not best to just kind of leave it as it is, as a complete body of work? That's kind of more where I kind of stand on it. So yeah, they were the responses. So I'd just like to thank everyone on that Reddit who gave me a response. I just basically want to get on to the last topic of today's episode of today's podcast.